If you've ever said AA is not for me or I'll figure this out on my own, and yet you keep finding yourself stuck in the same cycle, starting over, feeling frustrated, wondering why nothing sticks, this episode is your wake-up call. We're talking about the truth behind why your past attempts to quit drinking haven't worked, and it's probably not what you think. Maybe you've told yourself a program just isn't your style, or you're too busy, too private, too independent, or maybe the language of a group like AA felt uncomfortable or off-putting, and I get that. And let me be clear, this isn't an AA is the only way episode. It's not about what path you choose. It's about whether you're actually doing the work that recovery requires, no matter which path you take. Because the data doesn't lie. No one method is dramatically more successful than the others. AA, rehab therapy, white knuckling it alone. The success rates are low across the board unless you're willing to get honest, get uncomfortable, and do the internal work. So if you're ready to understand why your past attempts haven't led to real lasting sobriety and what it actually takes to get there, this episode is going to give you clarity, truth, and some powerful insight that could change everything. Let's get into it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Addiction Unlimited podcast, where you get to learn everything you want to know about addiction and recovery. I'm your host, Angela Pugh, co-founder of Kansas City Recovery, life coach, and recovering alcoholic. To learn more about me, you can listen to episode 0 on your podcast app or find us on the web at addictionunlimited.com. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to another episode of the Addiction Unlimited podcast. I'm your coach, Angela Pugh. I've helped thousands of high-functioning people break free from alcohol and rebuild their lives with clarity, confidence, and community. And trust me, I know exactly what it feels like to quit drinking only to wake up one day going, what the F happened? And if that's a moment you know all too well, confused, frustrated, wondering why it's still not working, this episode is going to hit home. And just a quick thank you to Cozy Earth for supporting this episode. You'll hear more about them later on, and trust me, you will want in on this deal. It is epic. So if you've ever said AA's not for me or I'll figure this out on my own, and yet you keep finding yourself stuck in the same cycle, starting over, swearing this time will be different, then finding yourself right back where you started, this episode is going to hit for you. I've had so many clients come to me with the same story. And one of my clients, Lisa, she read every book, followed 100 sober influencers, and made herself promises every Monday morning. And she told me, I don't want to go to meetings. I'm not a group person. I just need to try harder. But the truth wasn't that she didn't like groups. The truth was she was terrified to walk through the door and be seen as someone who belongs in those rooms, right? She was scared to get down and dirty honest about the fact that she had a real drinking problem. And even more scared of the accountability that comes with saying those words out loud in front of other people. And Lisa's not alone. So many people, especially high-functioning, smart, capable people, tell themselves the story that they can do it solo, that a program isn't their style, that they don't need help. And here's what I want you to hear. It's not about which path you take, what group you go to, or what room you sit in. It's about whether you're doing the real work that recovery demands, with or without a program. The data is clear. No one method, AA, inpatient treatment, coaching, doing it alone, no one method has a dramatically higher success rate than the others. But what actually makes the difference is your willingness to get real, to commit, to connect, and to stop trying to hide from this thing because it's not going away. Addiction thrives in secrecy, and the longer you try to manage it quietly, the more power it has over you. So today we're digging into why your past attempts haven't stuck and what it really takes to get sober and stay that way for good. And the truth is, there are a lot of different ways to get sober. You've got AA, Smart Recovery, Celebrate Recovery, many private programs now, coaching, therapy, treatment centers, books, online communities, solo journeys, you name it. And believe it or not, the data shows no one method stands out as the most successful. The long-term sobriety rates are pretty low across the board, not because the programs don't work, but because most people don't address the real issues underneath the drinking. That's the missing piece. It's not about finding the perfect path. It's about doing the deep work, no matter which path you choose. And this is where I want to give you one of my foundational truths. I say this all the time because it's that important. Addiction needs three things to thrive. It needs you to be isolated. It needs you to feel alone in the battle, and it needs you to feel bad about yourself. And let me say that again, because if you take nothing else from this episode, let it be this. Addiction thrives when you're isolated, disconnected, and drowning in self-judgment. And if you're telling yourself that you don't want a program or that you'll figure it out alone or that no one really needs to know what you're going through, you're feeding every single one of those conditions. That's the real reason so many people stay stuck, not because they picked the wrong path, but because they're still trying to hide while they recover, still trying to do it in secret, still hoping it just quietly goes away. But alcohol isn't going to go away quietly. When you're isolated, disconnected, and beating yourself up constantly, you might think you're trying to get sober. You might be reading the books, listening to the podcasts, even white knuckling it for a few days or weeks. But if you're still doing it in the shadows, if no one knows, if you haven't said the words out loud, if you're not truly showing up, then you're emotionally and mentally unavailable for any real growth. And here's why that matters. Recovery, no matter the method, requires a level of honesty and vulnerability that most of us aren't used to. You can join any program in the world, but if you're still performing, still pretending, still trying to look like you've got it all together, it won't work. Not because the program is wrong, but because you're not really in it. You haven't surrendered. You haven't let anyone in. You haven't allowed yourself to be supported. You're still trying to manage it. And managing addiction is very different from healing it. The mindset of, I'll figure it out on my own, is a defense mechanism. It's a way to avoid accountability. It's a way to protect your ego and avoid the pain of change. But it also keeps you locked out of the very things that make sobriety stick: connection, support, honesty, commitment. And listen, that doesn't mean you have to tell everyone in your life your deepest, darkest secrets. You don't have to shout it from the rooftops like I do. You don't need to broadcast every embarrassing moment or pour your heart out on Facebook. But you do need a few key players in your life who know what's going on. People who know the truth, that you're struggling, that you want to change, and that you are committed to doing something about it. Because when you don't create external accountability for yourself, when you don't say the words out loud, when no one knows you've made a decision to stop drinking, what you're really doing is protecting your option to drink. You're leaving the door cracked open just enough so you can sneak back in if it gets uncomfortable. And as long as that option is on the table, the commitment isn't real. You don't have to tell everyone, but you do have to tell someone who knows the real truth. Because healing doesn't happen in hiding. It happens in connection. So if you're not willing to open yourself up, really open yourself up to people, to truth, to the uncomfortable parts of the journey, then no program can help you. So if it's not about the program, what is it about? What actually makes sobriety stick? Well, it's about your willingness to do the real work, not just stopping drinking, but having a system and a plan to do life differently so you can get a different result. You can't put down the drink and continue living your same drinking life. You have to put down the drink and do sober life things, not drinking life things. So here's what you really need to stay sober. One, commitment for real this time. Not, I'm going to try not to drink this weekend or let's see how long I can go. I'm talking about real commitment where the option to drink is off the table. You're no longer negotiating with yourself. You have to decide, I'm done, period. Because wishy-washy doesn't work. Half in doesn't work. 1 foot in, 1 foot out doesn't work. Two is connection. Remember those three things addiction needs to thrive? One of them is isolation. So to get better, you have to do the opposite. You have to connect. That might be a coach, a sponsor, a best friend, or a support group. You don't need a crowd, but you do need a circle. Someone who can see you, hear you, and hold you accountable to the life you say you want. Because without connection, you'll keep convincing yourself it's not that bad. And that's how the cycle keeps going. 3 is structure. Freedom doesn't come from chaos. It comes from structure. When you're quitting drinking, your brain is all over the place, foggy, emotional, reactive. You need daily routines and tools and a plan to ground you, especially in the beginning. This is one of the biggest things I teach in my coaching. What to do when cravings hit, how to reset your nervous system, how to get through a Friday night without spiraling. It's not about being perfect. It's about being prepared. And number 4 is emotional ownership. Let's talk about this last piece, emotional ownership. We don't drink just for fun. We drink to escape. Stress, overwhelm, insecurity, exhaustion, heartache. Alcohol becomes the solution to everything. And here's what most people don't say out loud, but you know it's true. Alcohol provides relief. If you're tired, it gives you energy. If you can't sleep, a couple of drinks help you crash. If you're anxious, it quiets the noise. If you feel insecure, it gives you false confidence. It softens the edges and takes the weight off for a little while. So when you remove alcohol, you're not just removing a drink, you're removing your relief. You're taking away the one thing that seemed to make life feel manageable. And that's why so many people struggle to stay sober. They quit drinking, but they don't replace what alcohol was doing for them. You can't take away your medicine and expect to survive with nothing. You have to build new forms of relief, new ways to soothe yourself, new tools for regulation, support, and release. And this is why guidance, connection, and being seen are so important. Because those things, they provide relief too. Being around like-minded people, people who get it, people who have been there, gives you something that alcohol can't. It gives you acceptance, love, belonging. It gives you permission to be messy, to be honest, to say the things you've never said out loud, and have someone nod their head furiously because they've thought it too. That kind of connection, that level of emotional safety, that's the medicine now. Most people will never feel that kind of belonging in your life because the truth is, we're only about 10% of the population. Most people don't understand what it's like to be us, to struggle the way we do, to need alcohol the way we did. So when you find that space, whether it's a program, a group, a coach, or a trusted friend, you're not just getting support, you're getting relief. And that relief is what makes recovery sustainable. You know, I'm all about building a strong, sober life, but you can't do that if you're running on fumes. Sleep isn't a luxury. It's your foundation. For years, I was all hustle, late nights, early mornings, and nonstop pressure to keep up. But I've learned that your quality of life is directly tied to the quality of your sleep. And I'll be honest, I've always been a terrible sleeper. So lately, I've been focused on creating a real sleep routine, something that actually helps me wind down and wake up rested. And one of the biggest game changers for me has been making my bed a sanctuary. That's why I partnered with Cozy Earth, because their sleep essentials are next level comfort. Their bamboo viscose sheets are ridiculously soft, like slide into a hotel bed soft, but cooler because they're temperature regulating. It's no surprise Oprah put them on her favorite things list. They also have lightweight pajamas and luxury sleep essentials that literally make you want to cancel your plans just to crawl into bed early. And they make amazing gifts too. And if you're on the fence, you get 100 nights to try it risk-free, plus a 10-year warranty on all bedding, because Cozy Earth stands behind their quality the same way I stand behind mine. Go to CozyEarth.com, use my code Angela for 40% off. 40% off best-selling sheets, pajamas, and so much more. Prioritize your sleep. Prioritize you. Sleep better with Cozy Earth. So here's what I want you to take away from today. It's not about whether you go to AA or not. It's not about finding the perfect path or the right combination of books and podcasts and solo attempts. It's about your willingness to commit, to connect, and stop hiding. Because as long as you're still trying to manage this in secret, alcohol will always have the upper hand. But the second you open that door just a little and let someone in, everything changes. You start to breathe again. You start to feel seen. And maybe for the first time ever, you realize you're not crazy. You're not weak, and you're definitely not alone. So if you're tired of trying to figure this out by yourself, if you're ready to stop circling the same old mountain, I want to invite you to do something different. Come get the support you actually need, whether it's working with me in my coaching program, joining the private community, or just downloading one of my free tools to get started. Take the next step, because you don't have to do this alone. And honestly, you're not meant to. Human beings, we're pack animals. We're meant to do it together. The truth is, there's no magic formula for getting sober. No perfect path, no one-size-fits-all solution. But the one thing that is universal, the thing that makes the difference, is your willingness to do what it takes to stop doing this alone, to stop hiding, to stop hoping that maybe this time it'll be different without actually doing anything different. Whether you choose AA, coaching, a group, or your own combination of tools, it only works when you work, when you commit, when you connect. And this, for me, is why AA was such a beautiful solution, because you've probably heard me say this before. AA was like the cheat sheet. It put everything together all in one place, so all I had to do was show up. I didn't have to find my own set of tools and figure out my solutions. All I had to do was show up and sit down and shut up. That's it. It just made it so simple. It gave me everything I needed all in one place, because I certainly couldn't have put something together on my own in early sobriety. I was a mess. And when you replace the relief that alcohol gave you with real soul-nourishing support like that, that's when everything starts to shift. Not overnight, but for good. And if you're ready for some real change and you want to talk to me about the possibility of working with me or figuring out what's keeping you stuck and what your next steps are, you can schedule a free call with me at addictionunlimited.com/call. Of course, that link is in the show notes as always. I'd love to have a quick conversation with you and see if we're a good fit to work together. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you next week.
You've reached the end of another great episode of the Addiction Unlimited podcast. Candid and honest conversation about addiction and recovery. Be sure to visit us at addictionunlimited.com to join the conversation and access show notes and links to everything we talked about. Love this episode? Please take 30 seconds to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes to help us improve and give you the information you want. Thanks for listening. See you next week.